Welcome into Sportsmemo's betting podcast for Friday, March 29th. We got Robbie Vino on, and we're talking Major League Baseball. Robbie, welcome into the podcast. How you feeling?
I am doing great today, Drew. How about yourself? Opening day is always a great day, right?
Oh, man, nothing better than opening day. Everybody loves opening day. Even the non-baseball fans talk about opening day. So when's the first baseball game you're going to get to, man?
I think it will be something here in Philadelphia, but probably not here in Philly till June when the Diamondbacks come in. I may see one out west before that, so we'll see. But yeah, definitely I'll be there. I've got tickets for Diamondbacks Phillies with my son in June, so I'll definitely be there then. Cool, man.
Well, being back in the States now, I was down in Costa Rica, so this is the first year I'll be able to go to a Major League Baseball game. I'm pretty excited. So hopefully in the next couple weeks I can get to it. But it's always a rush here. We got college basketball. We got MLB starting, so I like to keep my eyes on as many pitchers as possible. And, it's just time. This time of year, it's tough on a sports handicapper. I know a lot of people out there can relate to what I am saying. But Robbie, let's talk. We're going to be talking Friday's games. We're talking late on Thursday here. We got the NL games with the pitchers listed. We'll break down all four of those games. But want to get your thoughts overall MLB betting wise. Any season win totals you took, either over or under, for any MLB teams?
Yeah, certainly they're on. Real quick here, Drew, since we're doing this as an opening MLB podcast, I just want to let bettors who might be listening to us for the first time, coming from Sportsmemo under the Wager Talk umbrella now, about how I approach these things. We'll probably talk about it more during the season, but just a real quick general, if you're going to purchase plays that I give out, you're going to get I learned about 4 years ago, I made a drastic switch in MLB to predominantly run line plays. 162 game season is a long season. We see right off the bat that if you're going to play sides, and this has really occurred more and more over the years, that these prices get out of reach. And when the Yankees open up, Drew, on opening day as a 370 favorite over the Baltimore Orioles, I mean, we see 370, but we don't generally see it on opening day, if ever. So I play a lot of run line stuff. I tend to feel, and it's worked out for me over the course of the last 4 years, like I say, that playing run line and lower juice, sure, you're going to blow a couple when you're laying 1.5 and you win by 1. But generally speaking, the lowering of the juice allows you to secure profit without even, having to do all that great. If you don't, I mean, if you're somebody that can go out there and hit about 46, 47% on run lines just on your own without advice from anybody like us, sometimes you can pull a profit from that because you're going to have a lot of pluses, and if you get on a hot streak, they wind up winning for you. So generally, that's where I'm at. I'm with run lines and totals. Last year, we closed real strong to the season, picked up over 48 units over the last 5 months, and I really need to drill home the point that the 48 units were on our old Sportsmemo system of 1, 1.5, 2. We're since into a different system here, 3%, 4%, 5%. But to get up 48 units on a 1, 1.5, 2 system is really strong. We closed the season that way over the last 5 months. That's a long extended run, and happy to be up and going here this year. First play out of the box today was Rockies run line, and they are up 6-0. I don't want to jinx that, but let's see how we do here.
Oh, Robbie, no, talking about it on the pod as it's going on, man, that's risky.
It is. Kyle Freeland is dealing, though, Drew, right now. Got a lot of faith in that team. But anyway, that's just a little background on what on the way I approach it. I know everybody approaches it differently, but when you're going to go at it for a 6.5 month season, that's the way I find to be the best way to produce a profit for myself. The season futures, the over-under wins. I had 3, Drew, that I really like. I don't know if you're in agreement or disagreement, but the first one I played was the Mets over. I think back at the time I got the number at 84.5 It just, when the Harper deal came through and the Phillies shot up to 90 or wherever they closed, I'm still not so sure that the Mets aren't the best team in that division, because I'm a pitching first kind of guy, and I'm especially a bullpen first guy. And I think I could argue with anybody, a legitimate argument at least, that the Mets could have the best bullpen in baseball right now, 1 through 5. So you take the Mets starting pitching, you take that bullpen. They'll get Cespedes back later in the year, but I think they have enough hitting at this point in time. Certainly the aggressiveness of the general manager helped, but the Mets, to me, over the number were a big one. Also landed on the White Sox over 72.5. Just thought lousy division, probably better, certainly better than KC. Real close, in my estimation, Drew, to a more popular team this year, Minnesota. I think the White Sox and Minnesota line up fairly even, expecting a lot out of, obviously, Eloy Jimenez and some of the young players on that team. But I played the White Sox over. And then last but not least, I went to the NL West, only because there's so much separation between the Dodgers and the Rockies and everybody else. The other three are kind of the afterthoughts: Arizona, San Francisco, San Diego, all for different reasons. But out of that bunch, I came up with Arizona over 75 wins. The lowest of those three was San Francisco. I do believe they're the worst of the bunch. San Diego was up at around 78.5. And as much as you'd like to, pounce on a team that's up and coming, when you look through the Diamondback pitching, obviously today it didn't show up with Zach Greinke, but to me, the Diamondbacks have a heck of a lot more pitching than do the San Diego Padres. So I know Machado, Tatis Jr., and all those guys, but I think the Diamondbacks can find their way to a 76-86 record. So those are the three I played: Mets over, White Sox over, Arizona Diamondbacks over, and the final two simply because they're in crappy divisions, and I thought they might be the best of the bunch after the top two.
Well, good stuff, Robbie, and we'll break down Friday's games now. And yeah, hats off to you on last year's MLB. I know you performed really well, because last year was my best MLB season, and you finished on top of me. So you were number one at Sportsmemo. I was number two. So and that was with everybody from Sportsmemo. So hats off to you, Robbie, on that. And if you're looking to get on,
repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take right behind you with the profitable season like last year, if I could choose it. MLB is a difficult sport to bet, but coming into its own, and if you spend the time and you are very disciplined on what numbers you're betting, what numbers you're giving to clients, it's a great sport to bet. So and guys, if you're interested in Robbie Vino's or myself, Drew Martin's MLB service, you can get it for $300 off as part of the MLB early bird special, and that's $300 off the retail price, and it gets you all the way through the World Series, no extra charges later. That coupon code is MLB300 at checkout for Rob Vino or myself, Drew Martin's full MLB season there at sportsmemo.com. Coupon code MLB300 at checkout. Let's break down Friday's card here, Robbie. We got Colorado versus Miami. We got Marquez on the mound for Colorado. Miami, the Florida Marlins, to me, have Richards on the hill. 7.5 the total. Colorado, a minus 150 road favorite here. We got Rockies, we got Marlins. How would you look to bet it?
Yeah, well, certainly German Marquez came into his own late last year, Drew, a guy who touches 100 on the radar gun. He was very difficult to hit down the stretch and into the playoffs, and have to believe that that's going to continue for him. And there's probably not a better lineup to get your first start against, and maybe even a better ballpark to get your first start in than the Miami Marlins lineup and that ballpark down there, which is pitcher friendly. So you'd have to look his direction right off the bat. Miami's lineup, we see it today. Certainly it was, I think, the worst in run production last year, and a lot of folks inside the game believe that they'll score even less runs this year, and I don't know that I can disagree with that. So for me, it would have to be Marquez. He opens up $1.55 favorite down to what we're looking at right now, somewhere in between 47 and 52 cents. Of course, a lot of the Vegas shops and offshore shops all offer different juice at different prices. So you just want to shop and get the best of the line. But I think Marquez is the guy to look out for here. If you're a fantasy baseball guy, certainly it would be a good guy to draft. He's got a lot of strikeout potential. Miami lineup has a lot of strikeout holes in it at this point in time. So it's going to be hard to look at Miami from a betting perspective this year, Drew. You can look at them from a totals perspective if you believe that they're going to be a cold lineup for the majority of the year. Certainly you want to look at underplays, and I don't know how many they can get off of Marquez in this one. Always another angle here. Now that we're into baseball season, make sure you're checking out who's behind home plate. There are a handful of home plate umpires that consistently year in and year out call the game the same way. It seems like each and every year we have a few new guys that develop a different trend, and you have to keep on top of those numbers. It looks tomorrow like it'll be Greg Gibson umpiring behind the plate for this particular game, and he's kind of a neutral umpire, so I don't know that I'd be involved total-wise. We'll see how much play or how much usage the bullpens get here today for both of these teams. Always something that you have to keep an eye on, and as I come on the podcast throughout the season, you'll hear me talking an awful lot about bullpen pitch counts.
Good stuff, Robbie. We also got 8:10 Eastern first pitch here. St. Louis versus Milwaukee. We got Flaherty versus Peralta. Looks like Peralta's the one laying minus 120 pretty much across the board, and a higher total here with 8.5 across the board.
Yeah, and what a great game today to open up the season, right, Drew? 5-4, Milwaukee win. Lorenzo Cain steals a home run to end the game. A couple of pitchers here that certainly are young, very, very good arms, and especially Jack Flaherty. I think that Jack Flaherty has an opportunity to be a 15-plus game winner rather easily with this lineup that St. Louis has put together for this season. He's another guy, velocity is the in vogue thing here now with pitchers, and it seems like everybody can get to 96 or above. Flaherty's got that type of stuff. So does Peralta. Both of these guys strikeout capable. I'd lean a little bit toward Flaherty at plus price. If we just take a look, and I'm looking as we speak here, Drew, because like you say, we're doing this a little bit ahead of time, but as far as the bullpens, we're concerned today, the Milwaukee bullpen, as we know, injuries have really affected the way that rotation out of the bullpen goes. Josh Hader now becoming your closer, gets the save today, but through 21 pitches and 2 innings, not so sure that Josh Hader would come right back tomorrow. 21 pitches is not a big pitch count, though. It's one where if they needed him for the ninth, I think he would be available. Junior Guerra throws 28 for the hold ahead of him. So perhaps Milwaukee's bullpen in decent enough shape. But boy, oh boy, they don't want to have to run these guys out there too fast, too often for too many pitches while they're trying to get healthy. That could be something down the road to look at with Milwaukee. Maybe their bullpen in this month of April could get a little stressed if they get involved in too many of these one-run games.
Robbie, let's head out west. We got a 10:10 Eastern first pitch here, 7:10 Pacific time. San Francisco, San Diego from Petco. We got Holland first. We got 2 lefties on the hill with San Diego laying 150 at home, 7.5 the total.
Yeah, San Diego's got a lot of right-handed power in that lineup now, Drew. I mean, when you put together Will Myers and, as we talked about before, Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, really the only huge lefty threat in that lineup is Eric Hosmer. So I think against left-handed pitching, this is a team that could have some success offensively this year. Of course, later on this evening we'll it's already being played. They play Madison Bumgarner this afternoon, a left-hander. So you want to take a look at that result and see how they did against Bumgarner. But I do think, generally speaking, overall, that San Diego is going to be a pretty good team against left-handed pitching just because of the amount of right-handed power that they have. Cordero's an absolute monster of a man in that lineup as well against lefties. So I'd give them an edge from that perspective. Derek Holland, a veteran pitcher who reinvented himself a little bit last year and I think exceeded expectations. We'll see if he can come back and do that 2 years in a row. But Joey Lucchese's probably the guy to talk about here because Last year, San Diego, out of necessity, brought up Eddie Lauer, Joey Lucchesi, two very young lefties. They both performed really well. And I think Lucchesi, to me at least, was the better of the two. So this is a start where, I'm just not used to, and I guess we're going to have to get used to in some situations, seeing San Diego as a $1.45, $1.50 home favorite. It's just not something that we've run across over the course of the last few years, but you have to make the adjustment here. Wondering if that side tag isn't too high, and maybe we might look to run line here, because I do think that the right-handed bats of San Diego can get to Derek Holland. Be something I look at certainly later tonight and into the morning before I release Friday plays. But I do think San Diego, generally speaking, for the season, look for them against left-handed pitching. I think that right-handed lineup can do a lot of damage.
All right, let's go from Petco Park up to Dodger Stadium. Last game on the board before we get to it, guys. Remember the coupon code MLB300 at checkout for Robbie Vino, myself, any handicappers. MLB full season package through the World Series for $300 off. That's MLB300 as the coupon code at checkout. Last game up, Robbie, West Coast start, 10:10 Eastern first pitch, Arizona, LA Dodgers. Robbie Ray going for the Diamondbacks. Stripling going for the Dodgers. He's having to lay 159, 160. Looks like the over-under sitting at 7.5.
Yeah, Dodgers in a unique situation here, Drew, to start the season, where they're number one, they're number two, and number three all unable to go in the first two games. No Clayton Kershaw, no Walker Buehler, no Julio Urias. I think Urias will go Monday. They have him in the rotation, but also Rich Hill down with a knee injury. He was supposed to be the number three. So you talk about the top three guys in the rotation probably about 3 weeks ago, all unable to go in the first couple of games here. Thus, we're sitting here with, half reliever, half starter, Ross Stripling, and laying this type of price against Robbie Ray. I'd probably look toward the dog here. I think one thing we're going to find out immediately with the Dodgers is, by acquiring A.J. Pollock, were they able to somewhat solve their problems against good left-handed pitching? The Dodgers the last couple of years have not been great hitting left-handers, especially really good left-handers. Robbie Ray, a little bit up and down last couple of years, had an all-star year 2 years ago, had an injury last year, didn't really come back until the end of the season. He performed a little bit better. I, for one, project him to get out of the chute here pretty good to start the year. He's got phenomenal stuff. He's got to avoid walks. It's always been his problem. If his location is good, he's very difficult to hit. It's going to be interesting for me. It might be a sit and watch type of game, although I wouldn't be adverse to taking a big price with Arizona in this contest with Robbie Ray and the bullpen that follows him. Obviously, Arizona today, in a blowout situation, won't have to waste any of their top arms in relief here. They'll all be fresh tomorrow for this contest. So Ray plus guys like Archie Bradley, and we'll see what Greg Holland has left as the closer for this team. I think that might be a way to look, but I'm really more interested to see how the Dodgers hit Robbie Ray, because the acquisition of Pollock, generally speaking, was made to help this team do better against quality left-handed pitching. The absence of Yasmani Grandal from the lineup now since he went to Milwaukee means that Austin Barnes, right-handed catcher, steps into the lineup every day as well. So a couple extra right-handed bats for LA this year against lefties that they didn't have last year.
Robbie, good stuff, man. Breaking down the MLB card. We got the special on Robbie Vino. Any handicappers, full season MLB 300 at checkout for $300 off the retail price at sportsmemo.com. Robbie, anything you want to throw out before we shut this down?
Boy, oh boy, just good luck to everybody out there. I know we're all itching to see the Sweet 16 here and how it turns up. And, of course, with baseball going on, a lot to get to. But, as always, Drew, good luck to all the listeners, and hopefully we're helping them out cashing tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, Robbie. We'll have you on next week. And, guys, best of luck with your bets the whole weekend. Be safe. Have a fun weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday.